Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Welcome back to the Misunderstood Show. It's almost Christmas time. I'm super excited. We have an awesome person today, Scott Powers. He's an insurance guy. He specializes in commercial insurance, but he does all insurance. Anywhere in the state of Texas, is that correct? Or outside of Texas as well?
Yes, I'm in actually 18 states. We do a lot of franchises, and so anywhere from Massachusetts to California.
Because you're from Minnesota?
Correct. Like Duluth, Minnesota, way up there.
Can you say it like a Minnesota person?
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, for sure.
Say Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, there you go.
But see, I have to like turn it on.
Yeah, because you've been in Texas for a while.
And I just have never been to turn on a Minnesota accent. And,
yeah.
Oh, geez.
Talk close to the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I talk close and I'm loud.
I can be loud too.
Yeah. Yeah. If I laugh, I kind of try to back away because I don't want to blow people's ears or sneeze. But yeah, so you specialize in commercial. What kind of commercial insurance? Because there's all kinds of commercial insurance.
Yes.
You have like small businesses.
Sure. So I do just about anything. I have 552 carriers, anywhere from Allstate to Zurich. No sales quota. So my interest is my customer's business, really.
Right.
So
you just put their information in like a database, and then it kind of pulls who the best ones will be for that situation.
We have technology to do that, depending on the risk, or if it's sometimes a lot of carriers, they do paper apps. It's still absolutely. I would say 50% is paper apps, but that's how much commercial I do. And there's a lot of weird things that, places don't really want to take on that risk.
Well, yeah, because some specialize in this, and some, like this person will want a flower shop and a restaurant, and this person is not going to want that. They kind of specialize in different things, correct? It's kind of like auto insurance is the same, or like especially recreational. Progressive is like really good for recreational vehicles.
They are.
Where other major insurance companies like USA, not so much.
I don't know USAA, but like I said, that's one of the carriers I don't handle out of the 552.
USAA?
Yeah, USAA and State Farm. But you name it, Allstate, Farmers, Liberty Mutual, we have them. And I like doing it, because I can help.
I have Farmers. They're really competitive. I shopped it last year when everything skyrocketed from my renewal. It went way up, and I was like, I love my girl. I've been friends with her for over 15 years, and I never want to have to leave her. But sometimes money is money. You got to do what you got to do for what's best for your family, right? So I shopped it because I have a lot of friends in insurance. And it was the most competitive rate. So I stayed with her, and then we just did some things to lower it, which there's some little tricks that you can do, which we didn't think about. And then I don't know if I was laying, 3 a.m, you're laying in bed, you're like, why didn't I think of this? And so I texted her and I said, hey, can we switch our names as the named insured? Because it was my policy, and I added my husband because he had USA and they were expensive. And so we, did a quote to add me to his or vice versa. And it was way cheaper to go with Farmers. So we went with Farmers. I added him. So he was second name, but he has better credit than me. He has like an 800 and something credit score, and I have like a 700 and something. I don't have as long a credit as he does. So, I just didn't really have credit. I didn't believe in credit cards and stuff, and I was just paid cash for everything. So I just didn't have a lot of credit. So anyway, we put his name first. We just switched the names. And it lowered our insurance $90 a month.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that.
Just from flipping the names.
That's true.
And then somebody was telling me, I think it was a Goosehead guy, I won't throw names out there, but I don't really know if he knows what he's talking about because I don't know Goosehead, but he was saying that you can't just flip the names. You have to rewrite the whole policy. And I was like, with farmers, you just flip. I know State Farm and Allstate, you could do that because I worked for them. Mm-hmm. I never worked for
Every
farmers.
company is different. They all have their rules and.
So some will make you just rewrite the whole policy.
Possible, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's up to the underwriters and.
Nobody wants to do all that.
It's a lot if you're especially.
So you probably wouldn't even advise your clients to do it because you wouldn't want to have to rewrite a whole policy. Is that
if they're looking for better rates, and that's what the name of the game is in this culture right now, is
you're gonna do what it takes.
It's not really about coverage right now. It's really the focus is on rates. And speaking of farmers, I used to work for Farmers Corporate for a while. I had my own agency in Minnesota. I've been doing this for 28 years, and so I had my own agency. Farmers came to me and said, "We would like you to be in our management side." So I moved to Omaha, and then moved here, which is how I'm here.
How did you like it working in like corporate?
I did like it. I liked Farmers was a great company to work for.
What did you do for them?
I was called their commercial wholesaler. I had about 200 some agents, 5 states, and I managed their commercial production, helped them get going, and that's why I was doing so well with Farmers, because I did a lot of commercial. It's what I like to do, and so I did that until they had some massive layoffs. And then when we were here, my wife's like, "I don't want you to go back to corporate because we'd have to move." I like it here. I like it here in the woodlands, and so
it's a lot warmer.
Yeah, it's like Minnesota minus the snow.
Which it snows like half the year, right?
It does. It's been cold.
It's brutal.
It is brutal.
Like, don't y'all get snowed in and stuff a lot?
Oh, you should see I'll show you some pictures.
What do you do when you get snowed in? You just stay home?
You just stay home like a hurricane. You wait it out.
I kind of wish that would happen here sometimes.
Ugh.
Sometimes I just want to stay home.
Yeah.
I never get to stay home.
Well, what about hurricane? You have to stay home during a hurricane.
No, we leave.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm not staying through any more hurricanes. I've been through 2, and I'm done.
Yeah, we stayed to the last one, but yeah, I can see.
Both times we were lucky both times, but seeing what happened to our neighbors and people died and just it was too close to home. Mm-hmm. There's so many huge trees in the woodlands and around here that fall on people's houses and kill them. I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there. I don't want my car there. I don't want my kids there. I'm done. I'm done with the hurricanes. I was in a hurricane when my first child was born in 2008. We were in Harlingen.
Okay.
And we had Hurricane Darlene. It was like a Category 2, which this one was like a Category 1. I
think, yeah.
But it was horrific, I mean, there's still displaced people. We have a guy that's still displaced in one of my networking groups. So anyway, it was real traumatic for me. My son was 2 weeks old. We had my 80-something-year-old grandmother staying with us. Oh, wow. And we had water literally blowing through the top of the front door. It was blowing sideways, the water, the rain.
Yikes.
And was coming in through the top of the door.
Yikes.
And it was just really scary. I'd never been in a hurricane before that incident. Anyway, I leave.
Yeah.
I just think it's better to get out of town and go
here.
Stay with family. It gives you an excuse to go visit some family members. We have my husband's cousin lives out in Somerville. Okay. They have a little farm out there.
Oh, very nice.
So we just go up. We went out there this last time because we didn't have electricity for several
vacation.
days. Yeah, plus you lose electricity.
Yeah. Right.
It's like
Yes. Yeah.
We hooked up our generator. My dad bought us a little gave us this little generator. It was like brand new. And we just hooked it up to some propane tanks and, hooked it up to the deep freeze and the refrigerator in the garage.
Nice.
If you don't open it, it stays good for quite a while.
Sure.
And our neighbor was kind enough to let us connect to his extension cord because he had a big generator, Generac or whatever for his whole house.
Okay, yes.
Super nice people next door. This guy, Nathan, he's young. He's like 25. He still lives with his parents technically, but he's gone all the time. He got a job in the oil. So
okay.
Super, super nice. Seems like a real smart, kind of a nerdy kid. I like those guys. They're the nice ones. If I'd only known that like 30 years ago. Go for the nerdy guy. Go for the nice nerdy guy that loves his mama.
We have our advantages too. Yes.
You include yourself in that. I love it.
I'm the biggest nerd as he can get.
Yeah.
I was just talking about X-Files before the show.
You and Dick. Dick's an X-Files expert.
I mean, right there.
Is that a nerd thing?
I don't.
My parents watched Star Trek. That was super nerdy. I wasn't that nerdy. I watched it because they made me.
Watch all
you
Star
did?
Trek. Absolutely.
So you're like a Vulcan
You name it,
guy.
I probably have seen. Oh,
do
yeah.
Your little sign.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of jokes. We can't say them on air, but I can tell you later. A lot of Star Trek jokes going around back in the day.
Got it.
But anyway, so back to insurance. So y'all do workers' comp for like small business owners?
Yeah. So anything, whether it's a nonprofit, general liability, professional liability, like for attorneys, or work comp. It's kind of my specialty. I love work comp. And here's a little tidbit. Work comp is the coverage is based out of the state, so it doesn't pay to have a more expensive policy because it's all governed by the state. So let's say you have Hartford that says, well, can't say you have better coverage. So I try to shop the very cheapest rate because what's the difference, right? Because if it's governed by the state, might as well. But
like title insurance is governed by the state. It's all the same across the board.
Sure, yeah.
But even the premiums are the same across the board. The only thing that's different for us is the fees.
Okay,
the escrow fee.
Okay, the work comp is not all the same, and that's why I like to shop it. Because
so the coverage is the same, but the premium is different.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So, like you said, just go for the cheapest one because the coverage is the same.
Yeah.
Auto insurance is the same. It's all the same coverage. I mean, if you pick the same minimum liability with $500 deductibles, which is the basic minimum if you have like a car loan, right? You just need minimum liability with $500 deductibles for comp and collision.
Well, you could change the deductible.
Going for the cheapest one, does it really matter?
Well, it depends. Again, some carriers, like for instance, Safeco, will include some things in there that maybe other carriers don't have. And so
like roadside assistance.
Well, roadside, but they'll even have like
windshield repair.
They have windshield repair. I know a lot of companies don't have windshield repair, so they'll include some stuff. So it's sometimes whereas the work comp is all governed by the state, so the coverage can vary on an auto policy.
My thing too is service. Service.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually my biggest pet peeve. I love Farmers. I shopped them. They were still the best rate I could find. But I shopped like with 8 different people. I didn't shop it with 400 and something people like you can. But I think a lot of those can shop it with a lot of, they're brokers. But my thing is the service. Is that person going to be there when I have an issue, or I need to see if I can flip names, or if I can text them and say, hey, can you add rental coverage to my vehicle really quick? I'm going on vacation, right? Because I don't carry it here because I don't need it here.
Right.
But if I'm going to go on vacation, I'm like, I want a rental car coverage in case something happens while I'm out of town.
So,
right?
Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, the rental on your policy is a rental reimbursement. If you get into an accident, they reimburse you.
Right.
Rental coverage can. So I'm going to start by if you let's say you go to Disney World, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. Scenario A is this, and I did a lot of research behind this. I went to Enterprise, went to Avis, and it's all pretty much the same. And here I'll give you a scenario. One of the things when you go to a rental place, Enterprise. They'll make you sign a waiver, or you could purchase it called physical damage waiver. Kind of a weird term.
Right.
They either accept it or decline it.
I always accept it.
Good. And here's the thing. So scenario A is, let's say you decline it. Say, you know what? My agent told me I'm covered. I hear that a lot. Okay, great. So you go down the road, you get into an accident. You call them up and say...
But you're only covered for liability.
hang on just a minute. They will say, okay, Karen, you got in an accident. Okay, so the first thing they check is to see if you purchased the physical damage waiver. They see that you didn't, that you declined. You know what the second thing they do as soon as they see that? It's going to blow you away. They hit max credit card. They max out your credit card. And that's why you have to rent it or have to have a credit card.
That's why you have to have a credit card and not a debit card.
Right, because what they do is they want to make sure you have enough room on there. Because when you call in, they have no idea of what this accident. Well, they have no idea how much this accident's going to be, so they max it out.
So when you rent a car, you need to take your credit card that only has like a $2,000 limit on it.
But if you have enough room, they won't accept it.
That has $40,000.
But they might accept it though, so you have to make sure there's enough room so they can accept it. So anyway. They do that, and there's a couple things as well, because then.
But if you accept their coverage, then why do you still need to have a credit card?
Okay, let me finish with scenario A, though.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, so you understand, because when you purchase it, then there's a couple things. Is they'll say, okay, Karen, at your expense, tow it back. Okay, then they'll have like, loss of use. Well, as you're renting,
they're going to charge you for all of that.
For every day, and replacement cost. Your policy is ACV. Your contract is replacement. Now, some carriers.
Does your personal insurance cover all of that?
Some may and some won't, and that's the thing is your contract really doesn't. So they may just be nice to you, and then it shows up in insurance. But the one thing, and I even checked with farmers on this. The one thing that even farmers had said was, we can cover some of this, but the one thing we can't get back is your max credit card. That doesn't apply to us. So scenario B says you purchase it, you get into an accident, you call up Avis or Enterprise, they say, Karen, stay right where you are. They come out with a new car, you sign it, you go on your way, done. It's that much more simple.
It's not on your insurance.
It does go on your insurance.
Because statistically, I read somewhere one time that your chances of getting in a car accident when you're driving a rental car are much higher anyway, because usually, first off, you're not familiar with the car, so you're more likely to get into an accident. Two, you're usually out of town where you're not familiar with where you're at, so you're more likely to get into an accident. So you're more likely to get into an accident when you're in a rental car. So it's like, why would you not? It's like $15 or something.
It depends. It could be as high. I mean, it could be pricey too.
Yeah.
So I would shop not just the rental rate, but the physical damage rate as well too. And that's why I say you're covered with holes. And a lot of agents, I always hear, "Oh, my agent said I was covered." Okay, yes, you're covered with holes, right? Because loss of use, replacement cost. And I just never liked comfortable by saying, "Oh, you're covered," because it's really not true, right?
Right.
So I had to research there.
That's kind of the same if you drive anybody else's car.
Who wants their credit card maxed out, especially if it's the beginning of your vacation?
Well, it's like if I drove your car, it's kind of the same thing.
Except I don't sign you a contract.
No, but you could still sue me for all these things. Like
I could, but I gave you permission though.
Yeah,
so
but
that
what I'm saying is my
insurance
is not going to my insurance may not cover all the things for your vehicle, like the towing. Is it going to cover towing?
So if you drove my car and you got in an accident, it would probably fall under property damage. Depending on what happened, I guess it's so many different scenarios.
Right.
And I'm an ex-claims adjuster, so I can think of 100 different.
Right. Every situation is different.
Right.
I also try to explain to people too that if let's say my son, who has a driver's license, drives your car, but he's not a named insured on my policy, is he covered to drive your car? Does my insurance cover him?
Does he live in the house?
He's at college.
Okay, so he's at home. Okay, yes, and so if I say yes, you can drive my car. Yes.
Okay.
He's covered. He even though let's say he's not even on your policy.
Let's say he drives a friend's car and his friend doesn't have insurance.
Well then they'd probably
happens a lot in college.
They probably would go under your insurance then.
And they would cover all of that.
Depends, but
Because that's what I've
generally,
been
yeah.
told. If they're not a named insured, if they're just listed as a driver, that it may not be covered. That there's like they could get out of paying.
But they
that
live
claim.
at the yeah. I mean, you don't have as long as he's on the policy, and he doesn't have to be a named driver,
Okay.
because the only way you really want to be is if you own that vehicle. If you don't own that vehicle, there's no point in really. You could, but
he does own the vehicle. It's my stepson. And his mother bought him the vehicle, and she signed it off to him.
Then he should be a named insured.
Okay.
Because he owns that car, and there's certain name rights.
He doesn't actually have the car anymore, but I was just making a scenario. He wrecked it like 7 times and finally sold it to CarMax.
Sure.
Yeah, it's been, it's kids. Gotta love them. But he learned, and now he's,
It's all right. It's just an accident.
figuring it out.
Worst things happen. As long as he wasn't. Was he hurt?
No, he was never
Okay, so-
injured. Thank goodness. It was all minor, like backing into something, being backed into, parking in places he shouldn't be parking in. He parked around the corner in my blind spot where I back out every single day. So I backed into him one day.
If people knew the
My
accidents I
husband's
had,
like, why did you park there? It's a lesson learned every time. But yeah, so back to you're talking about rental cars, the coverages. You should always purchase their coverage just because
it'll just make things simple because there's so many holes. You're dealing with 2 different contracts, and contracts and another contract.
you're driving a corporation's car. It's not just some person that you said, yeah, you can drive my car.
Right, and they have you sign a contract. So
And nobody reads that contract.
no, right, and exactly, which is why I had to really invest. This was 20 years ago, and it still holds true to this day. But again, I think the most
Except they're adding more stuff now to get out of it.
Oh yeah.
Civil War. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, and I don't know if there's adding Civil War on some car policy. I know a lot of some commercial policies Civil War.
Civil War exclusion. They added it this year.
Well, war has always been excluded, but what's
Right.
unique
Is they added Civil War.
is the Civil War.
They added that like earlier this year.
Yeah, like January, maybe
February.
even partly even last year. And what's so odd is like we haven't had a Civil War. So why are you adding this? Like, so for instance, 9/11,
I
we
want
didn't
to
have.
know whose decision it was to add it. Yeah.
But I think it depends on the
people
carrier.
that got together decided to say that we should, and they added it to a bunch of health insurance stuff.
It's almost like anticipation.
Right.
Or it's kind of like, well, like I said, in 9/11, they didn't have terrorism coverage. And people filed a claim, and they were like, no, insurance companies were denying it because of war exclusion. Well, they're like, whoa, it ain't war. Congress didn't declare war. And so they were trying to cover this and trying to get out of it. So what do we have now? Terrorism. We have to sign off on that. Well, we haven't had Civil War. So this is very intriguing, really, when you think about it. Like, why did you put Civil War on here?
I mean, we have had Civil War. We've had Civil War, I mean, in the 60s. There was all kinds of riots, 80s.
But that wasn't, like, you think of Civil War between North and South.
Yeah,
but
there was a lot of damage done. What do they consider, just riots? Are riots excluded?
You'd have to really read that exclusion to find out, because riot and civil commotion is covered. So
isn't that the same thing?
No, on a health policy, I don't know. Again, I don't service health, but
what's the difference between civil commotion and civil war? What is the definitions of those?
I do not know the definitions, but I mean, Civil War. I would have to read that exclusion, because civil commotion is like the riots that we had back in 2020.
Small, confined to like a certain area in like a city.
Like 2020, right? We had these little civil commotions, rioting, breaking out. Some were covered, some weren't, but civil commotion can be covered. But to have
what if it's funded by a specific group of affiliation?
I don't think there's really an exclusion if there's affiliated by anything. I think it's just civil commotion, rioting. That's generally covered, especially on your homeowners. On a lot of Business owner policies will cover
It's
that.
covered that. And
You're right.
auto.
Now, maybe where you won't find is on a general liability policy,
Right.
right? Or sometimes even on a package policy, you might have to add that in possibly.
Okay.
But
it's an endorsement.
like an endorsement. So you definitely read the policy because
Read your exclusions.
or read
Because they have to pretty much cover anything that's not excluded. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the very last
Just read the exclusions.
the last thing wins. Really, so on a policy, they'll cover it, then they decline it, then they cover it, then they decline. Like if you read a policy, they're covering it, and then they're declining it, and then they cover it again. And so I say that at the end, whatever is last wins.
Right. So it's like pros and cons crossing each other out.
Right. Because
And then what do you have left?
right throughout.
sometimes I make decisions.
Yeah, they added it, and then they had a lawsuit. Then they tweaked it.
Yeah.
It depends on the edition date, too. There's a lot of different edition dates on
True.
carriers.
Yeah.
It's
So you love when people come in and tell you, I want full coverage. I have full coverage.
yeah. I think.
But there's no such thing as full coverage.
Well, I mean, it's kind of loose.
I feel like
loosely-
that's a very like salesman loose term that gets a lot of people in trouble because I have full coverage. I'm like, you have minimum liability with comp collision at $1,000 deductibles. You barely have coverage. They're like, I have full coverage. No, you don't. That's not even a thing. So that irritates me when my whole family, if anybody says the word full coverage, they're like, oh God, don't say that in front of Karen. Because I'm like, it's not that I'm trying to be like a know-it-all. That's what they try to treat me like I'm being a know-it-all. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. I'm trying to educate y'all so you don't get ripped off.
Right.
And so you don't end up in a predicament where I get the phone calls when I sold insurance for 10 years. And I was getting those off and on. I tried to get out, and then I'd end up back in, and I'd try to get out, and then I'd end up back in. It was like a job I got out of high school, and I just couldn't get out of it. But I worked in the office selling PNC, and I didn't work for great agents all the time.
Yeah.
So that has a lot.
It's a big part.
So people were dealing with me. I was having to deal with putting out the fires in the office, and I didn't have support, and I'm 22 years old. And they're like, I have full coverage. Why is this not covered? And I was getting those calls all the time, and I didn't even understand all of it because I was young. I got my license, but it's like anything. Real estate, I've had that. I have my real estate license. I have like a wall of licenses and certificates at home. I have no degrees. I went to college. I never finished. My husband has 2 degrees, so I feel like he makes up for mine. But I also, if you put all mine together, I'd have like a master's in something, the Jill of all trades. But, and even in real estate, like when you go get your license, you don't know how to do real estate. Once you get your license, you don't know anything. They don't teach you how to actually utilize that license in the real world. They're just teaching you the school book legal stuff.
Sure.
And
to get your license, right.
So when you get out of insurance, you go take the classes, you take 3 days of like cramming.
Right.
And then you go take the test. You basically just memorize everything. And then literally you walk out the door, you don't remember anything.
True.
And I think it's so dumb that they don't just make you go out and do like, an electrician or a plumber. They have to have so many hours doing this job to get their master's or to get their journeyman, right?
Okay.
And so they actually learn how to do it on the job. I think that would be a much safer way to go.
I guess insurance is somewhat because you have to be licensed, and then when you start working, you start knowing things, and that's why after 20 years, it's like try to stump me, ask me some questions.
But I worked for a guy at Allstate. He was the agency owner.
Sure.
And he literally knew nothing. He couldn't even take a payment. This was my boss.
Okay.
And so when I had a question or I
didn't
didn't
know what to do.
understand,
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
tough.
understand the concept of insurance. I didn't even know what an underwriter was.
And how old were you then?
I started selling insurance when I was 19.
Okay, so
I was fully licensed and an office manager by the time I was 21. I was really good at my job. I was really good with people.
Sure.
I was really good at finding the information. But you're only as good as the people you work with. And people would get mad at me because I didn't know the answer, and they yell at me, and then I would be,
that's tough.
I'd have all this anxiety because I don't know how to help them, and I want to help them.
Yeah.
And then once I started figuring it out, then I was like, this guy is...
No wonder why
am I working for him?
Yeah, that's tough. Have you thought about going on your own?
I did, and then I worked for another Allstate guy that owned an agency for years, and he was good. I mean, he knew his stuff. He taught me a ton, and he was like, don't do it. He was like, he kind of strayed me away from it because at that point in time, they started just pushing a lot of credit cards and banking and doing investing. And, and there was a lot more like pressure with numbers and stuff. So he was like, I don't suggest that this would be a good time to get into this because it's not the same as it used to be.
Well,
and I didn't know the other options like where you're at now, right?
And some of those, some of those didn't exist. TWFG started in 2001, and they have. I was
already an office manager at that point.
Yeah.
So
but it was kind of a new concept when Gordy Bunch started it. It's kind of like. The independent world, like, we had our branding, TWFG branding, and we had all these carriers. It was a new concept. Most independents had to go and search and get
like
these.
State Farm, Allstate.
They had to go get the carrier. They had to go and get them. Well, TWFG has them all. You don't have to worry about getting them all.
Well, the internet, I think, opened a lot of that up.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying as an agent, as a consumer, it opened up a lot for the consumer. But even
before the internet, you couldn't shop all these different insurance carriers.
True.
How are you going to do that?
But
you're
even
call them, each one of them,
right?
And then type it up in your carbon paper typewriter that I used to type my policies on,
typewriter,
and mail in the pink slip and keep the white one and give the client the yellow one, right? And then you had to type up their ID card. And back then there was a lot of fraud. People were just typing up ID cards for money.
Well, even I go far as back. Computers were just coming out. I still had carriers that had rate books, and we'd have to match up.
We had a DOS system.
Yeah, they were DOS, but we had rate books. Like, that's how old I am.
Wow. So I'm not that old, but I did have.
I'm not that old.
I did have the map. That I had to carry around to go to like different places,
Insurance is so, they don't like to change, right? They have a system, it works. They don't like
I remember in 2006 when we got the internet and they moved the DOS system into a Windows program.
Okay.
So you still had to go into it for stuff because it was just too much information to pull over. I worked for a State Farm agent for a little while too that I loved. It's a long story. And then I worked for another one that I didn't love. And because of me, he doesn't have one anymore. But that's a whole nother shebang. It's a long story, but short story. He wasn't a good person. And I'm a kind of a whistleblower. When people are when they're hurting others, I will say something.
Hence why your show.
They don't like me. I can be called a Karen sometimes, but I stick up for what's right. And, if I'm not going to sit here and nitpick little things that people do. But when people are really actually hurting other people, I'm going to say something. Anyway, we need to take a break.
Okay.
Because we got a commercial coming.
Oh, right.
I'm sure it's a good local business that somebody wants to use and support. We love all of our local businesses.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll come back here in just a second.
Sounds good, Karen.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Car enthusiasts of Conroe, FM 104.5 and 106.1 Lone Star Community Radio invites you to shift into gear every Monday from 1 to 2 with Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy for news on all things automotive in the greater Houston-Conroe area. Can't make a live show? We've got you covered. You can find all of our uncut content, including full episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Play Store, YouTube, Facebook, and irlonestar.com. Again, that's Mondays 1 to 2, Cruising Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy. See you there.
Welcome back from that short little break we took. Hopefully it was a nice commercial with a nice company, with local. I'm sure it was supporting our awesome radio station that we need lots of support so we can keep going, keep supporting our local businesses like
Absolutely.
you and Dick and me.
It's amazing how supporting local, if you look at what, follow the money trail, what it really does. It's
Right.
kind of almost unbelievable. You just think you're just giving to the business owner, but that can buy employees. It goes on and on. Yeah, it's
supports
amazing.
local everybody in your community, which helps support you, because if I'm supporting the local business down the road and they have money now to buy real estate, then that real estate can come to us for title, and then they buy the insurance through you, and then they have money to come on, the radio.
Right.
Or do a commercial. So we are taking applications for commercials right now. We have some openings. There's small, and then there's big. The big obviously gets you the best. Everybody wants to do big, but it's 100% write-off to advertise with the radio station because we're a 501c3 nonprofit.
Okay.
So you get advertising and it's a write-off.
Wow.
Where else can you get that?
Wow.
Right?
That's a great
He puts
deal.
it on all social media platforms, YouTube, everything, and then I make my reels and my shorts. And
That's a great, yeah.
and then you get signs in here, and it's on our website, it's on Facebook, it's on everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me. If you're going to advertise, why would you do it anywhere else?
Absolutely.
Than a
Right. That
local
sounds
business?
right. That sounds
So we have some pretty good people that advertise with us. Like we have 300 Bowl. We have Go Lake Conroe. Don't we have Barsh Automotive? No, didn't they advertise with us for a little while? No, I thought they did. I wanted to get Barsh in here. He's great. But we try to get good people too. We don't want to support people who aren't, running around causing havoc on the community either. We want good quality people to come in here and do some advertising and support local businesses. So if you know anybody, give Dick a call or email the show. All the information is in the description or on the website. And then also, if you want to support Scott and get insurance quotes for commercial or home or auto or all the things, right? He can get you the best rate, especially like you were talking about workers' comp. I mean, it's the same across the board. You just find them the cheapest one for their business. Right. Because it's going to be different at a different company for a different business. Right?
Exactly. Right. No two businesses are alike, right?
Right. So that company might be cheaper for this guy, but it's going to be more expensive for this guy. So you really need to shop it.
Correct.
Every situation is different. And you need to have somebody who has comprehensive knowledge of the differences in these companies and why that might benefit you, because sometimes price, like you were saying earlier, well, that company might be the cheapest. This company might be maybe a few dollars more, $3 more a month or something, and then they offer windshield repair or roadside assistance or something like that. It's worth spending
sometimes it is
a few extra dollars.
Right. Well, and then you mentioned too before when you were with another carrier how they kept pressuring you to sell. Gordy Bunch does not, at TWFG, does not have us have any sales quota. So for me, I'm just here to help. Right. I'm not here to push some motorcycle policy or some policy you have absolutely no interest in, right? My job is to make sure, as a business owner, that if something happens, there's no fine line. Right. People that buy policies for me know exactly what they're buying because I go over it with them. I make sure, do you understand this? So, and some people don't want to take the time, and I totally get it. But if you do, then fine. I will take the time and share that information with you.
It's important for people to understand what they're buying.
These are contracts.
I just don't understand how people just don't care about. I mean, I guess I have that nerd side. I want to know everything.
Yeah, same here.
I read my contracts.
Which is why I have 7 letters after my name.
It drives people crazy because I'll sit there and take the time to read something, and they just want you to sign it real quick, and because nobody else reads it. They're like, "Oh, it's good." I went over everything. Okay, and then suddenly I find a question. Oh, wait. Wait a second. It's like recently we bought the Apple Care.
Yeah,
For my kids'
I have Apple Care.
watches.
Yeah,
You should read that.
I did. See, I did. I just was like, oh,
You probably cancel
I
it.
pushed the button on my iPhone. Yep, I want it.
So you pay like $50 or $60 for the Apple Care for 2 years.
It was like $9.99 a month for
Okay,
me, but
it's even more expensive if you pay monthly. It ends up being like way more money.
Yeah.
So let's say you're paying,
I don't know if you get me now.
$9.99 a month, and you add that up over 2 years. That comes out to a lot of money. That's 24 months times 10. That's $240.
Okay, but you know what a price? Okay,
But then you have a deductible.
okay.
And the deductible is usually more than half of what the watch costs or the phone or whatever. Like,
Oh, really?
Yes. So there's a deductible. So
But
it's like
does a
it's like
deductible
100
vary?
Uh-huh.
Does deductible vary?
Yeah, depending on the phone or the device or the watch or
Okay.
the AirPods or whatever. But by the time you pay for the deductible and then the monthly cost, like you could go on there and just buy refurbished ones for half the price.
Well,
You might, because they're going to send you, a lot of times they're going to send you refurbished ones anyway.
so my
They're
wife's
not going to send you brand new ones.
no, but my wife's phone is like a 2013, and she had some cracks. We went to the mall, got it fixed, and it's still there's still more to be fixed. And I said, well, we'll just see. We can just go get a used one on the internet. That phone, even 20, it was like still $500.
Right.
So there's
But
still
the deductible, so this is what happened to my son. And that's why we canceled the insurance with AT&T, because we had our phones insured through AT&T. We were paying $50 a month.
yeah.
No, he's the only one who had to make a claim with. It was a $350 deductible.
Now, see,
And
the
by
app-
the time we did that, his phone was already like 2 years old.
Interesting.
So we could go and buy it online on
Yeah.
Amazon refurbished for like $400 or $450. Even if we're spending a little bit more money, it's like it's not worth it to me.
I didn't even my phone, the Apple. Are you sure the Apple one? Because my Apple phone completely just got destroyed, and they just gave me a new one. I didn't have to pay $1.
Well, read your contract. That's the point. Read your
Yeah,
contract.
you're right. I should, and I didn't.
Because I
But-
just read the Apple Care thing for their watches, and it
Yeah.
was like a deduct. I bought their watches,
And that was for the
like,
watch, though, right?
Yeah, they had them on
Okay.
sale for like $169 on Black Friday. I always go like 2 weeks before Black Friday
Sure. Oh,
because that's when the deals actually start. Because they're getting rid of last year's stuff,
okay.
unless you want the newest thing, which I don't care about that. I'll take last year's item because they're trying to get rid of it and move it so that they get the new stuff the week before or a few days before.
Gotcha.
And then they have the retail price and then they discount it. But the really good deals are like 2 weeks before.
Interesting.
So I got my kids the last year's model of Apple Watch. It's the SE watch, the second one, the Gen 2 or whatever. Because they didn't actually come out with a Gen 3. They never did. But they're selling so fast because parents love them. They've been amazing for parents because you can call and text, put tracking on it, everything, so they can just have their watch instead of a phone. So you don't have to worry about them getting on stuff, or being constantly on their phones. So I'm switching my kids over December 20th. That's their Christmas present. They don't really feel like it's a Christmas present because I'm taking their phones away. But they're constant. We just can't. I can't fight fight them anymore on the phone time. Like I just feel like I'm constantly fighting them. And then my older one has learned to hack through parental controls, which you can just YouTube. I found out.
My 14-year-old has done that too. I just found that out that he. I was like, wow.
You're not
These
allowed to be on
kids-
TikTok.
these-
Quit getting on TikTok. I do not want you on TikTok.
I know.
Quit it.
My kids cannot have social media. My kids cannot have
They
social
don't
media.
need social media.
No.
You can call and text your friends.
There's
so much bullying on social media, for one. I mean, that is just, that alone. And then two, I mean, the stuff that they can see on there.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of guff early on when I was they said, why are you not letting your kid be on social media? I said, this was years ago, and even years ago, that was Zuckerberg created when he was in college to pursue women. It's not designed for a 10-year-old, okay? It's just not. It's just not. So I have never
Leave it to a nerd to invent something like that to pursue women.
Which is, yeah.
I feel like it's like weird science.
But that's what he did. That's why he did it, right?
Why he did it.
I think that's. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty.
Well, that would make a lot of sense.
I'm pretty sure that's why, because something about that, you know. But anyway, my kids do not have it. Although now my 17 he is going almost 18, and he's into crypto now, and so X has a lot.
You got him hooked up with Avi.
Ravi, yes.
Ravi, sorry.
Yes.
Ravi.
He's in our.
I have a friend named Avi, and then my husband works with a guy named Javi. I think it's Javi. And then we have Ravi.
I can see how he gets confused.
Yeah, Ravi. I love Ravi. He's such a nice guy.
He's so good. Yeah, and if you want to know anything about crypto, that is the guy to know all about.
I have another guy too back home that knows
okay.
a lot about crypto. Unfortunately, he's not local, so you can't like sit down with him. But he's talked to me a lot about it on the phone.
There's a lot, and you need somebody to know what they're doing.
Have you watched the documentary, the Bitcoin documentary, about how Bitcoin started? And they can't find the guy. They've never been able to detect who he is.
I've seen that, and then there's a new one called Rigged. Have you seen Rigged?
I have not. Is that on Netflix or Amazon?
It's Prime.
I
don't think it's on either. But I can send you. I think they would cost you like $15. I think you have to charge, but it's an eye opener. It was a cover up. So much going on in that. It was called Rigged. Karen, you would like that. And then of course 60 Minutes just had Brad Garringhouse on for Ripple.
I need to get on.
60 Minutes tried. It was very interesting. Brad did a great job.
On my Spotify.
Okay. You should watch it. It was just on last night.
Okay. I listen to it sometimes when
Especially,
I go on trips,
Okay. Are you in crypto?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have been trying to get into it, honestly, forever, but it's a long story.
Well,
it's hard for me to get people on board because they don't understand it. So back when Bitcoin first came out, back in like 2014, 2015, my nephew, who's brilliant, went to UT on an academic scholarship when he was 17. He was like, you should do this. And of course, I'm going to listen to him because he's like hip, he's smart. He was like, just give me like $500 to invest and I'll make you some money. I'm like, let's do it. Well, my ex-husband was like, oh, I don't know what that is. No, I don't want to spend money on that. And I was like, man, come on. And his dad actually did it, or his stepdad invested. They made money. My nephew made money. My father-in-law made money. And we didn't do it. And I was so upset because, some of these people that invested in the very beginning, and they invested like $200. They made like $30,000.
So it sounds like you have FOMO.
I have really bad regret.
Yeah.
Literally regret. Like I should have just ignored him and did it anyway. And because I had to do that sometimes when I knew something was a good investment, I just ignored him and house we bought.
But it's not too late though. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, and it is going to get to a point because the chain is going to end and then it's done.
Well, that'll be forever. But there's coins like
They're
XRP.
saying by 2030 there will be no more.
No. I don't know about that, but I wouldn't recommend Bitcoin anyway, because Bitcoin is only a storage of value. It has absolutely zero utility.
These other countries are using that as their form of currency.
Actually, they're using XRP. XRP is what you want to be into.
Okay.
XRP is the only coin that does not use electricity. Don't ask me how.
Right, because Bitcoin, you have to have all these machines.
Right.
Like powering.
Don't ask me how XRP does it, but you want to invest into XRP.
Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to mine numbers or calculations.
Right.
And it takes huge machines for them to figure out these new equations. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know always the mechanics, but yes, there is.
But they have to have like
farms, right? There's one here in Texas, actually, one of the largest ones.
Bitcoin farm.
There is. I don't know exactly where it is, but they actually
have solar panels
everywhere. Sell energy back to the state of Texas now, I believe. There's that big because they have so much energy that they've stored up. They're selling it back, which is good, but. So if you're getting into it, I can always help you. But XRP is probably Bitcoin. the ones that are for us that are really into it,
Like Heath Wilson.
we're not
got
into
it.
Bitcoin. I have maybe $3 into Bitcoin. I don't have much,
Gotcha.
but I have a lot into XRP, XLM, because so what XRP is, so the system is run, our system is run called a Swift system. So if you were to go to Macy's, use your debit card, it would take them like couple days to get their money. XRP says, you know what? You get your money in seconds. It's going to change. It's going to blow up here. It's going to change everything.
Gotcha.
And the government.
And is that what Ravi's teaching people?
Yeah, he's teaching crypto in general, and he'll talk about XRP. He'll talk, and he'll also tell you out of the 99% of the coins are garbage. There's only a small few that are
How do you
really
know?
good. This is why you have to hire someone like Ravi, because he, for 18 hours a day, does nothing but research these coins. So when he says go into XRP, I listen to him. Okay,
Right.
because again, see, how would you know? Otherwise, you get scammed like FTX, right?
Right.
A lot of people went to FTX and they got scammed.
Maybe that's what I should do with my Christmas bonus. The small one I'm going to get.
There
My
you go.
branch manager made a little pot for us. I
Nice.
probably shouldn't talk about it, but she's very sweet. She's very thoughtful. That's why I work there. Because what do they say? Mejor que nada. You know what that means?
No,
Better than nothing.
better than nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of.
I usually use a sharp poke in the eye.
You're hilarious. Yeah, my husband says a lot of Spanish phrases. He grew up on a farm, and so they always had, people from Mexico come up to work the farms and stuff like that. Back in the day. Now, they can't do that. Everything has to be legit. But when he was growing up, they had, people passing through and stuff. They would teach him all these little phrases.
Really?
But yeah, he taught me mejor que nada, or that's what we tell the kids. Better than nothing. Quit complaining.
The only thing, I took Spanish for 2 years in high school, and the only thing
They don't teach you that.
the only thing I can do is sing Jingle Bells.
In Spanish?
Yeah.
Give it a go. It's Christmas. Come on.
I'm a bad singer.
I am too, but I sang karaoke recently.
So if I do, you can, because I don't even know if I'm saying it
I'm
correctly.
gonna make reels and post it all over the internet.
If I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but here it goes. Cascabellis, tra la 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 la, que alegría. See, I didn't have a
Cascabelli?
Spanish since 1990, so there you go.
Feliz
I don't even know.
Navidad. That's the one I know. Feliz Navidad.
Yeah, I just learned Jingle Bells. So after all those years, that's all I can do. So,
Yeah, it's probably been a while.
it's been a while. So
I think I know. I remember like colors and certain things.
I learned all that.
Donde
But
está el baño? Dos cervezas, por favor.
interesting. I know all these little.
Levántense, siéntense, cállate la boca.
I can
All the things that you shouldn't know.
count in Japanese
Oh, how did you learn that?
from my father.
He's Japanese.
No, he's not Japanese, but he's a black belt in karate,
Oh,
and he made us learn Japanese when we count when we're doing our katas,
okay.
and we go ich, ni, san, shi, go, ruk, sich, hach, ku,
Can you
chu.
count in Spanish?
No,
Uno, dos, tres, cinco,
okay.
siete. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez.
I can go
Once,
uno, dos,
doce,
tres. It's about I can go to
trece.
3 maybe, but I know Japanese more than I know Spanish a little bit, but
Yeah, I've been to Mexico probably a lot. Well, not a lot, but more than that's the only place I've been out of country actually is Mexico.
I've been to Hawaii.
I spent some time on the border
Oh.
Yeah, we lived down there when my son was born.
Like Brownsville?
We lived in Harlingen. I worked in
Okay.
Brownsville across the street from the border check.
Oh,
Fun times. I worked at an insurance company.
interesting. Wow, look at the history of Karen.
Yeah, and then we moved to the McAllen area, and I was doing photography for a couple of years on the side, and I left. That was the last time I worked in insurance, was 2010. I completely left the business and full pursued my photography, and I worked
Good for
for
you.
Los Palmas Race Park. They
Good for
did
you.
big concerts and horse racing. They had the little horse racing guys there. Those people are so cute. I don't know if people know this, but racers are very small people, and I'm a very large person.
Right.
So, when they would come and they have like their shirts
The
hanging
jockeys,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, the jockeys. They are tiny. They're like 5'4", 100 pounds, 115 pounds.
Wow.
And they're tiny.
Wow.
But they
I knew
have
they
to
were
be
tiny,
real
because I didn't know they were
small.
that tiny.
Yeah, they're pretty small. That movie, the Biscuit, Seabiscuit.
Oh, I love
He has to, like,
I've seen
starve
that like about a
himself.
million times.
He starves himself because he's like going to be over 115 pounds, and he can't. He won't make it in. It's like legit.
That's right, because I remember watching it. I
Yeah.
love that movie, Karen. I love it.
But I love that movie. My husband and I just.
It's kind of an inspirational movie, right?
Yeah.
Talks about bad times, and then it talks about the three
Tobey
different.
Maguire does a fantastic job.
Yeah, and then what's his name? I can't think of his name. The sponsor of the horse.
Oh.
Famous. He was on Tron, and I can't think of his name. He's been the Big Lebowski.
Jeff
Bridges. Oh my
Bridges.
God! How could I not remember that? Jeff
Big
Bridges. I mean,
Lebowski.
he's iconic, right?
Yeah.
Big Lebowski, right?
I feel like
Tron.
I need a White Russian right now. It is Christmas.
Oh, I'd like a Black Russian.
Oh, what's a Black Russian?
Well, they do call me Vodka
Sounds
Scott for a
racist.
reason. Can I say vodka? I don't know. But
Yeah.
okay. But that's what my nickname is, Vodka Scott.
I'm hoping to get No FOMO Vodka as a sponsor in here. It's a local vodka here.
What's it called?
No FOMO. Like
No
no
f-
fear of missing out.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
FOMO
well,
vodka. It's a local girl, Mari, and her husband. She's with Choice Home Warranty. She's been there for like
I'll
10
have to
years.
try. I'm a vodka man.
Yeah,
I
so
love
they're
my vodka.
fabulous, and they distill it like 6 times. Where even high-end vodkas only do like 5 times.
Okay.
So you don't get headaches and hangovers, and it's real clean. Anyway, I'm supporting that.
I'm gonna give it
I
a
don't
try.
drink vodka very often, but at Christmas, I like to have a little White Russian or Black Russian.
I love
But yeah,
Black Russians.
so but yeah, we've got No FOMO vodka and
Probably my favorite is vodka gimlets.
oh okay. There's a new drink that somebody was telling me is in vodka. It's like an alien drink. I don't know. 'Cause
An alien drink.
I don't know. It's some kind of alien drink. Because they're like, you should get that, Karen, because I like aliens and Sasquatch and oh, speaking of which, my shirt today.
Oh yes.
Shout out
That
to
is
my
a-
girl who got me this shirt, Megan Davis. It's got the Sasquatch and the aliens. It's got Nessie, which I don't know anything about Nessie. I
don't
know it's
either.
like in Scotland or somewhere over there. There's like the story of Nessie, but definitely have Sasquatch here. And I've had experience in Montgomery, and then I have some legit references for aliens.
There's a movie coming out about Bigfoot called The Beast.
Oh yeah.
A local, Terry Weaver? Terry Weaver's a local guy here that is an actor. I think he may be the producer, but it's being written here. It's a local here in Texas
Okay.
called The Beast. I
Is
don't think it's
Is it
out
like
yet,
a
but-
B-rated film, or is it going to be like on?
That's a good question. I don't know always the categories in movies, but from what I hear, it's going to be really good. It's exciting because there's going to be local talent into this movie.
Oh, I have a friend who's
And it's
an
about,
actress. I wonder if
it's
she's
called
in
The
it.
Beast.
Morgan Freeman. She's an actress here. I wonder if she knows about it. She's awesome. She's in Lions Club with me.
Maybe. I don't, yeah.
Those people are always fun to hang out with. Unique artists. I love artists in
Yes.
general. Artists and nerds and geeks and musicians and music and all that stuff. One of these days, I'm going to live out in BFE and have TVs in
What's BFE?
I always reference that, and people, I feel like you should know that. You're from Gen X.
Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm proud to say I'm a Gen Xer.
It's like way out in the middle of nowhere. It's an acronym for a bad word, something in Egypt.
Okay. Well, then
I
so
live
repeat it.
I live near Egypt. You know, Egypt by Magnolia.
Actually, I do too.
BFE.
Well, you're almost my neighbor, really. So.
I am your neighbor. We're
Yeah.
like right down the street from each other.
I
Well,
know. So we do live next to Egypt. Yeah.
we do live next to
At first, you
BFE.
kind of caught me there for
I'll tell you
a
what it
split
is.
second.
So now you can, when people tell you you're too far away, you can be like, yeah, I'm in BFE, and I'll explain to you why. I don't know why that keeps coming up on the show. It's so random. But yeah.
It is random.
Well, it was great having you on today, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for
And,
having me. This was great.
It was super fun.
It's fun.
It goes by fast, right?
It does go by fast.
It's really fun. You weren't too nervous?
No, this was great.
So you can
did
shout out to people, hey,
Right.
it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
We're pretty easygoing. Dick's really cool. He makes everybody chill in here. It's a good setup. But yeah, if anybody is interested in reaching out to Scott for a quote or to answer questions, or he's really calm, he's really nice, he's very patient, he's very nerdy, he knows tons of stuff, he's been doing this a long time, reach out to him and he'll, walk you through it. Even if he thinks it's better for you to stay where you're at, he'll tell you it's better for you to stay where you're at. I don't need it. I just do this because I love it. And
Can I give my number?
yeah, you can give it.
It's 832-381-2533. We're right here in the Woodlands. We just moved to Grogan's Mill now, but we were at the mall. And
But you do everything everywhere. So if they're in a different city or a different state, you can help them out. You can direct them in the right place.
Correct.
And all the rest of his information, like his email and all that stuff, his website, it's a beautiful website. I checked it out. It's all in the description.
Instant commercial quote, by the way.
Do what?
I'm the only one that has an instant commercial quote.
Oh.
You put it in, you'll get a quote. You won't get me calling you. You have to put your information in. My website's designed where you get an actual quote, and I will not call you. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So he won't bug you.
Yeah.
So yeah, check him out. All his information is in the description. And we'll see him again soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody. We'll
Christmas.
see y'all again next week, but I may not see you.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.